Hi, my name is Patrick Markfort.
And I'm Dave Ferraro, and this is the Comics and More podcast. And this week we are going to be talking about Uncanny XForce, which is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while, just because it's been kind of just little things from that series has kind of filtered into a lot of comics that I read personally. So it's kind of nice to see the actual stories that these things are branching out from. Plus, there's been a lot of buzz around these titles. A lot of people have been talking about it and seem to really enjoy it. So the series is written by Rick Remender, and we have several artists on the series. It seems the main one is Jerome Opeña. Then we also have like Esad Ribic, Billy Tan, and Mark Brooks, among others. The first book in the series is The Apocalypse Solution. The second one is Deathlok Nation. And we're doing all the ones that are collected so far. So the other two are going to be the Dark Angel Saga, Book 1, and Book 2. And that brings us through issue 19. Alright, so we begin with this this team of X-Men assassins, pretty much. They're like the Black Ops team that Wolverine has put together to pretty much deal with threats to mutant kind that the other people in the X-Men, like Cyclops, would not approve of, basically. The things that are too hard for the other teams to really do. Mm-hmm. So Wolverine has put together this team that includes Phantom X, Psylocke, Deadpool, and Archangel. So this comes out of the book that was just X-Force before, which had like characters like Domino and stuff. But Rick Remender has picked it up with this new team, and yeah, I really enjoyed so far. But the Apocalypse Solution is where we begin. And that's basically Apocalypse is rising again and gathering his horsemen. And I mean, there's a couple surprises within the Apocalypse like rising kind of story arc. But basically we see the team be pretty much brutal and bloody like right off. The four horsemen are really cool. There's really cool designs for some of the horsemen that are involved with this. But the team has a successful first mission that brings a lot of arguments among the team. Some of them don't approve of what they've been doing.
Yeah, there's a moral decision that they have to make at the end of this arc. And the way that they decide to resolve that situation kind of sets the tone for the whole series, and also has consequences which play out throughout the rest of the issues that we'll be looking at.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the second arc, Deathlok Nation, this kind of plays into some things that Phantom X has been kind of keeping some secrets from the team. He's pretty much created this little pocket like city, with different robots and stuff in it. The Deathloks are what are in this one at this point, right?
Well, he didn't create that city.
Oh, okay.
That is the world. Which is sort of it is sort of a pocket dimension where time moves differently inside the world. But the world is essentially the laboratory of the Weapon Plus program.
Okay.
So this is the organization that created Wolverine and Phantom X and Deadpool and other characters in the X-Men universe. And now it's sort of reached its logical conclusion with Weapon Infinity. And basically Phantom X is kind of protecting this like little dimension, and others would rather just destroy it. But in this initial arc we have Deathlok comes into it with the kind of like cyborg versions of other characters from the team and stuff. The other Deathloks. I don't really remember much of what happened in this one, to be honest, except that Lady Deathstrike was in it and she was cool. This is one of those stories that kind of picks up. Rick Remender is actually writing Secret Avengers right now, and this story picks up in Secret Avengers with Psylocke's brother Captain Britain is a part of. But yeah, we see different robots and stuff like that, the Deathloks and stuff there too. Some other series that this bleeds into is Wolverine and the X-Men, which we see a lot of the stuff that come out of the Dark Angel Saga go into.
basically you kind of see them in that book actually handed off to some characters in Wolverine and the X-Men. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the rifts between characters in Wolverine and the X-Men come from Uncanny X-Force. And also there's another story point in Uncanny X-Force that's picked up in Uncanny X-Men for like a pretty long arc. Like I think it was like 6 issues that they deal with some repercussions from this. So I mean, this book is pretty much like, I mean, the stuff that happens in this like has repercussions throughout the universe, and obviously a lot of creators really like this book because they're picking up the threads that he's kind of leaving dangling.
It's because this is the best and most creative X-Men comic that's come out since Grant Morrison's run.
Yeah, Rick Remender has a lot of really cool ideas, and he just keeps like putting them out there. Just a lot of fresh things that are going on here. Dark Angel Saga is something that we've been leading toward throughout the entire book until this point.
Everything's kind of led up to this.
And basically, Warren Worthington has this kind of dark entity inside of him, which is basically the Horseman of Apocalypse Archangel, which was the Horseman of Death that Apocalypse... I don't know, like a lot... I mean, this has been in the X-Men comics for a long time.
Yeah, I think it was originally introduced in the original X-Factor series in the 1980s when Warren Worthington went from being Angel to Archangel. Mm-hmm. Now it seems as though Archangel has kind of manifested as a dark kind of personality within Angel, within Warren Worthington, whom Betsy Braddock, Psylocke, is helping him to kind of keep that personality submerged within Warren Worthington. But of course, now in the Dark Angel Saga, he has kind of gone over to the dark side.
Yep. And I mean, one of the really cool things is that Rick Remender actually like he brings things back from like the 90s, like, you know, like the Deathlok. We have the Age of Apocalypse comes into play a big part in the Dark Angel Saga, and he makes it really cool. And Archangel is something from that time period, I think, so, or close to.
Yeah, he really knows his X-Men.
Yeah.
In the interview that was reprinted in the end of one of these trades, he talked about how he was just a huge X-Men fan as a kid and a young guy, and he was a real completist. Like, he read everything for a long time, and you can really see that here. He's just drawing on all aspects of X-Men history and continuity, but not in a way that depends on you having a knowledge of that continuity. It really kind of uses those stories as a jumping off point to do really fresh things. It's exactly how continuity should be used in mainstream superhero comics.
And something I know I'm personally... Like, I really like the Age of Apocalypse. At least I have fond memories of it. It looks pretty terrible now. You started to read that a little bit, and you don't think it's...
Yeah, it's one of those things, like, you go back and you look at the original material, and the books themselves maybe don't hold up as great comics, but...
obviously, they had a lot of great material that other...
Yeah, there was something there, and Remender is able to reintroduce that world and those characters here,
and he makes it a really dark, cool like world. I feel like too. He makes it pretty. I mean, this is a pretty gritty, brutal, like dark comic, anyways, and it fits in very nicely to this.
Yeah, it's a good fit.
And on the other side, like at the end, he introduces the Captain Britain Corps at the very like last couple pages of these trades. And that's a more sunny, like weird, like thing. So I'm kind of interested to see where that goes, especially since I was such a huge Excalibur fan, and Captain Britain Corps was a huge part of that. But obviously, you enjoyed this a lot, and I enjoyed it a lot too.
Absolutely loved these comics.
Good.
I was blown away by the quality of this material. I had a blast reading this. I was so excited to finally be able to talk about it, because we don't talk about the comics before we do the episodes. But yeah, I loved these books. They were so good.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to start. The they basically succeed on every level. I've never read anything by Rick Remender before, but it doesn't surprise me, like you said, that a lot of these ideas are kind of playing out in other writers' books at Marvel, because I just think this is such a great, cool book. I can see it generating stories. They've done now a spin-off of Age of Apocalypse out of Uncanny X-Force, and you know, some of the characters from here have gone over into Wolverine and the X-Men.
And a lot of the like I mean, even at the end of the
the Dark Angel saga, he introduces some antagonism between Beast and Wolverine, and that's like carried over in Wolverine and X-Men. So I mean, the repercussions of this book are like kind of everywhere.
Yep. And I didn't realize, I read too in the interview that this was, when Uncanny X-Force #1 came out, it was the best-selling book that month. Although then I found out they had like a bunch of alternate covers, so that, you know, was sort of a cheat, but still, it seems like people are really responding to this book, and with good reason. It's really cool. That's one thing, one adjective that kind of kept coming to mind when I read it. It's just like cool. It's just like a cool comic. You know, there's something just kind of hip and edgy about it in a genuine way. You know.
And the characters like really play off each other really well.
Yeah,
like,
it's a great mix of characters. Yeah. Although the group that we see here is they don't come out of the Dark Angel saga unscathed. So there's a shakeup in the roster a little bit at the end. But yeah, the group they've got here is there's just a great dynamic. So it's a great premise. Right, a secret black ops team of X-Men that the other X-Men don't even know about, who, you know, are willing to do the dirty jobs and the hard jobs so the other X-Men don't have to. So that's just a cool premise. Their costumes are cool. They're black and white versions of their regular superhero outfits. It's a really weird mix of characters.
It is, yeah.
But they're all great characters. Like, I'm not the biggest X-Men fan in the world. I've read some of the highlights, like some of the best of the most noted runs. You know, and I'm a Marvel fan, so I know the X-Men, but I've never been like a die-hard X-Men aficionado. But like a character like Wolverine is like really appealingly written here. He's sort of the co-leader along with Archangel of the group. So you've got Wolverine. Psylocke is the lone female member of the team. Phantom X, a great character created by Grant Morrison during his run, is here. Deadpool, who a lot of people love, is really funny in the way that he plays off of all of the other characters. And then Archangel himself, who has this dark kind of entity brewing inside of him. It's just a great mix of characters. The art was really good throughout. Jerome Pena, I guess, is kind of the main artist. He does the first arc, and I think he comes back for the Dark Angel arc. They've got a lot of other artists in there. I wish that they had just had one artist doing the whole thing. I always wish that mainstream comics would work a little bit harder to have a little bit more consistency in the artwork on these series, but the artists were all good, and it sort of had a consistent style. You know, Assad Ribic is sort of doing the same kind of thing that Jerome Pena is doing here, so it had a really cool look to it, kind of like almost like painted like European comics a little bit, especially in Pena's work. So it had like a cool kind of otherworldly look.